Hello and welcome back. So now time to start painting and chipping our cockpit. We have the lemon grey down already, and then for the chipping fluid we're going to be using the Ammo heavy chipping effects. So we are going to be chipping MRP lacquer paint. We have our blue grey. Yes, you can chip MRP and lacquers in general. There are a few things you need to consider though. First, you need a real thick layer or thick layers of chipping fluid. We've gone about 3, and you can see it is beading up in the light. And then you do need to go down quite thin and almost patchy in areas. The thicker the paint, the harder it is it's going to chip. So here we're just slowly building it up until we get the desired look, which you can see here. Now the next key thing is to absolutely saturate the surface. Lacquer paints or acrylic lacquer, they are almost impervious to water, but you can get it through, but it needs you to absolutely soak it and re-soak it as well. You can see there where it is beading up, and we're going to have to just keep going over it and over it. As for the chipping, you will need a form of brush or a pointy stick, and you're going to have to absolutely scrub away at it. You can see there in the large patches the brush has done the job, but we are going to move on to doing a toothpick for a bit more of a detailed scratch if you like, and this will help us create more finer scratches and ultimately get the job done a little bit quicker. Here we're going ahead and following the panel lines along the floor. I'm not looking to completely chip it away, but I do want a good amount here. So this was a combination of the toothpick and then going ahead and reapplying the water and then using our stiffer brush to wear it away. We got a pretty good effect, I must say, so a good start to it. And then with that done is then obviously on to painting all of the kit details. We've used various shades of grey as well as some black, and then for the leather coat covering over the control columns here we're using the chocolate brown from Vallejo. And then as for the rubber pads, we're using here the Hataka jet black, which is a bit more of a almost like a dark grey or a black grey if you like. On to adding in the details, more wiring to make it look nice and scavenged, using different size lead wiring, and then it was a case of carefully painting it. They are fairly colourful as per the references, so it is a nice nice change of pace. It helped break up the overall look and makes it look a little bit more interesting. So with those drying, it was time to head on and chip the rear bulkhead. Same again, lemon grey with the blue grey over the top. Unfortunately the colour, or the blue grey, went down quite thick. We had a lot of nook and crannies to get into, so the actual chipping was quite difficult here. We didn't get the finer chipping like we did on the floor, though we managed to get a little bit here along the shelving that we've added in. The toothpick did the bulk of the work, but as you can see here in the doorway, quite larger chipping, so that is the downside to doing it over lacquer paints. It's a lot of trial and error, and you're almost at the mercy of the paint really. But we still managed to get some decent effects, chipping away at the edges, mostly focusing around the bottom half as you can see here. And then with that done, it was a case of going in and painting the various details, though these will be covered up with the seating, which is a bit unfortunate, but I do like to paint them nonetheless. It is a little bit of good practice really. And here it is with all the chipping and the details all painted, suitably worn, almost nicely abandoned as well. Definitely got that scavenged look to it with all the wiring and the bits pulled off the wall, so definitely what we're going for. So with that done, attention turns to the instrument panels. Here we're painting the glare hood, or I assume it's the glare hood. Interestingly, there seems to be a lot of colour variations, especially in the cockpit. Here we're using the gripping grey from the Hataka blue line, so being ultra careful not to get it on all the black areas. And then with that done, we're going to carefully trim it with some gloss black from the Revell Aqua range. Though we did have a few blobs here and there, so it took a little bit of go a few times to get it nice and neat, but we got there in the end. And then as for the wiring that we've added in on the back, for now we're just going to paint them gunship grey. We will add in some colours later on when we come to weathering. And here are the finished instrument panels, or at least the glare hoods. Actually really quite happy with how they've turned out. They look quite nice with the grey against the black, though it is all looking a little bit too clean. So as for the weathering, we're going to start off with an interior wash. This is an enamel wash from Ammo, and we're going to use it to pick out all the recessed panel lines and the rivets. You could say it's a little bit counterintuitive because we are going to be smothering a whole lot in sand pigments, but it will show through in areas, and it is going to nicely highlight the various details as well. And then we'll be doing a little bit of speckling using some Starship filth, and this is just going to help dirty up some of the larger areas. And then moving on to a little bit of dry brushing. Here we're using a medium grey. This is oil paint as well. I prefer to use that instead of acrylic paint for dry brushing. It dries to a bit more of a matter, more subtle look, and also you can get some nice shading in it as well. So as for the pigment, we're going to be using the sand colour, the same that we used on our seats. This is rather nice, sort of light dusty look, and we are going to absolutely smother the surfaces. It's trying to go around all the raised details and obviously all the instrument panels and the control columns, make it look like it's built up over time. The idea obviously with this project is we're going to be doing something nice sandy and abandoned, as you can see here. Looks absolutely caked in it. And then what we're going to do is go over with some odourless thinner as opposed to pigment fixer. This will act as more of a light fixer as opposed to something that will stick it down permanently, which means once we've dried it, which you'll see here with our hairdryer, we're able to better blend it and obviously push it into all the nooks and crannies. If we were doing a pigment fixer, it would be permanently fixed to the surface, so you wouldn't be able to do any of the blending or any of the additional parts, if you like, if you wanted to touch it up or add more over the top. So this is how everything looks after the odourless thinner has dried, and we're going to go ahead with a soft brush and essentially just blend away at the excess. There is a lot of pigment on there, so it's going to take a little bit of time, but as I said, we can blend it away, push it more into the areas that we want to. Once we've done that, you could actually go ahead and apply a permanent fixer, but as this is going to be an area that isn't going to have a lot of handling, we'll just leave it as it is. And this is how it looks. You can see all the sand pigment is done and built up all against the structural details, and obviously all the additional details that we've added. Looks like it's been blasted with numerous winds and dust coats. Really happy with how it looks, and obviously this is what it looks like with the seats. Again, unfortunately it does cover up some of the bulkhead, but it looks suitably sandy and abandoned. And as for the instrument panels, we're going to go ahead and add in a dust wash. This is another enamel wash from MIG, and then we're going to add in some spare lead wires, going for that sort of scavenged abandoned look. Maybe someone's come in and pulled out all those dials, maybe to be sold on the black market, who knows. And then we're going to carefully go ahead and paint it. We're going to be using black and red. To me it almost looks a bit like a positive and a negative wire. I actually quite like how the colours look against that turquoise instrument face. And then we're going ahead and using the same medium grey again, just to dry brush the back. This is actually going to be the bit that you see the most when looking into the cockpit. And then next up is to get all the sand pigment into the nooks and crannies. As this is going to be the bit that you see the most, I want to have a generous amount of sand pigment on this. And then we'll come in once the odourless thinner has dried, and we're just going to blend away, and again just push it up against the glare hood to create a really nice build up. And here are the finished instrument faces. They look really cool with all the wires pulled out, I must say. We've done a little bit of sand pigment just over the faces as well, just to help convey that dusty, abandoned, sandy look. But unfortunately we won't see all of this side, but we will see all of this instead. I couldn't be happier with how it's come out. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed the video. It's been great showing you the progress, and I look forward to sharing more as we go along as well. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.